I'm Michelle Graves, your host on today's segment of The Power of Money. I'm glad to have you here. Now, at The Power of Money, we are interested in three things happening. First, we want you to get the necessary education so that you and your family can make the decisions that will impact positively on you in your financial life. The second thing is that you be empowered to prosper. I only want the best for you. And you can only get that if you have education and then the drive to make it happen. And the third thing that is so important to me is that you recognize that life is more than a journey and that you be energized so that you can begin to participate in the truly joyous experience of living. So here's to empowerment, here's to education, and here's to energy. I'm Michelle Graves, your host, Power of Money, and here we go. And here we go. It's always a delight to be in your lives. And for the next hour, I got a great show. I am so serious. I've never done this before, but I was compelled to do this. And that my guests today are a remarkable couple, powerful couple. If you want to talk about today's modern definition of a power couple, both of them are movers and shakers in the markets that they do their business in. They are both business owners. And again, I admire them because of not only their success in their own endeavors, but also the fact that they have been able to maintain a successful marriage. And if you have not read the statistics lately, you need to be aware that marriages are going through a rough time. In the Christian community, half of the marriages blow up. Now, how are you going to love God and covenant to God and you cannot get along to the point where you're willing to go through the angst and the sorrow of a legal divorce? So I thought we would explore over the next two segments of The Power of Money this powerful relationship, talk openly and frankly about some of the trials they've gone through, some of the good, the bad. We're not going to keep this nice and fluffy because I'm convinced that the battle zone in America and probably the world is what goes on behind those closed doors and how people relate to each other. And we're going to explore during the process of this interview where I'm going to be doing questions and listening. I'm a single woman. I've been a married woman. I can trust me when I tell you marriage is hard and it's not for the weak at heart because you may have a heart attack and then they got to take care of you till you are gone. So without further ado, I'm going to get right into the meat of today's interview with power couple, Dr. John Thomas, who is a psychologist in Cincinnati, Ohio, and his wonderful and lovely wife, who is an attorney, Leslie Thomas. So here we go. How are you, Leslie?
Hi, Michelle. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, no. And how are you, Dr. John?
Fine. Thank you.
Wow. Where do I begin with this couple today? Well, let's start with, give me a little bit of background about yourself.
Okay, well, Michelle, I've been in Cincinnati now for more than 30 years.
Where are you from?
I was originally born in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania.
Oh my goodness, a
And
Philly girl.
Yes, a Philly girl, came to Cincinnati to work for Procter & Gamble.
Mm-hmm.
I was there for about 13 years. And then at the end of my 13-year time, I met and married my wonderful husband, Dr. John Thomas. And so during the course of the early years of our marriage, I used to say to him, honey, I always had this dream that I wanted to become an attorney.
Oh, wow.
And he, after a while, I guess he just got tired of hearing me say that. But he was listening to what I was saying, which is an important thing. And finally he said, well, just do it. One day I said, really? Just do it? How are we going to do that? When you go to law school, you have to go full time.
Yes.
He said, honey, just do it.
Oh, that's so amazing.
And so I went to law school, went to University of Cincinnati Law School, and I graduated, and now I've been an attorney now for more than 20 years.
My gosh.
Yes, yes.
My
It's been
gosh.
quite a journey.
And what areas do you specialize in
Well,
practice of law?
I characterize myself as a family law attorney. I do everything except for bankruptcy, and I don't do the criminals. I can't do those.
I was going to say, that's a little different.
Yeah, very, very different. But I do divorce, I do child custody, child support, visitation, and then I also do a lot of work in probate court, estate planning, wills, trusts, powers of attorney, guardianships, and cases related to that type of law. So I love that law because I really feel like I'm helping families and families coming together.
Yes.
I love it when the families come in and they say to me, the husband may say, I want to prepare a will or a trust. I want to protect my wife.
That is so beautiful.
It is.
That
it
is beautiful.
It is. And the wife said, no, I want to make sure my husband's going to be taken care of. I want to make sure that my kids from my former relationship are going to be taken care of. I love it when I see the families moving together. And even though it's a blended family, sometimes the fathers or the stepmothers may say, well, I still consider them to be my children.
Yes,
I love them as a
yes.
family. That is such a beautiful thing when you see families coalesce and blend together and stay together and grow and develop and promote each other. So that's what I love.
That is
Yes.
extremely powerful.
Yes, yes.
I cannot tell you because on my side of the fence, I've been involved with trust work and estate planning and all kinds of things. And my motive is family too. You know,
Right.
Insurance is about family.
Exactly.
It is.
It's the
I mean,
same
when I
thing,
tell
yes.
husbands, why don't you want to buy insurance on your wife? And I've heard some that say, well, she's going to take the money and spend it on somebody else. And I'm like, what little rock did you crawl out from under?
Right.
You know, what is your name? Who's your mother? What church you go to?
Right.
You need some help here.
Right.
So tell me something about yourself, Dr. John.
Well, I've from Flint, Michigan originally. I went to the University of Detroit and received my bachelor's from the University of Detroit. Came to Cincinnati and received my master's in psychology and my doctorate in counselor education and became licensed as a psychologist and been in private practice for about 30 years.
My goodness. And what is your area of expertise as a psychologist, other than a listener, other than a good listener?
Well, I work with families, I work with couples, I work with extremely bright teenagers. I work with
Gifted
some,
children?
Oh, I've got some teenagers that I work with through a program.
Okay.
And these children are some of the most gifted adolescents on the planet. So what I do is help them to develop their self-concepts and self-esteem so that they can go on and be some of the next generation of talent, young, gifted, and black.
I think that's absolutely amazing. I have a grandson who's gifted. He's 5. And he is already determined that he is going to be the next king, although I have informed him that we do not have a monarchy in the United States, that this is capitalism. But nonetheless, his level of self-confidence is amazing, and it's been a blessing.
Yeah, and one other thing I really like to do is to help people heal from their brokenness. Most of the couples that I see and many of the individuals I see in therapy have been broken from their childhoods because they did not receive the affirmation that they needed from broken parents. And a lot of these people that I see, you know, they're good people, they're healthy people, they're just broken and hurt. And they bring their brokenness and hurt into their relationships with their spouses, with their family members, with their children. And I spend a lot of time helping them to clean out, if you will, the pus of the wounds of hurt that they experienced growing up.
As
children.
children.
So that as adults they can see who they were truly meant to be.
That is absolutely amazing.
Can I give an example?
Of course.
Yeah,
We're free flowing here.
Yeah, there was a couple that I saw recently, and I'd seen them a couple of times, no pun intended.
Okay.
And this couple came in, and the first thing that the wife said in the meeting was, I think I'd seen her maybe twice before.
Okay.
They came in and she said, I think I want to get a divorce. And I said, no, you don't want to go up to my wife's office.
Okay, you really don't want to go and see Leslie.
You don't want to go see her because that's a more difficult situation.
Uh-huh.
And so she said, you know, my husband, he sits around at home and he mumbles and he's angry all the time and he's moody all the time. And I asked him a question and he doesn't want to answer me. And so she said, I just can't take it anymore. I think I want a divorce. So I said, have you really talked to him about how he's feeling, what's going on with him? I can't talk to him. He won't talk to me. So then I turned to him and began to talk to him. And I said, what's going on, man? You know what he said?
What?
My father didn't help me to affirm myself growing up. He could have helped me, but he didn't.
Oh.
He was in prison. And when he came out of prison, he didn't help me grow up. My stepfather was rigid and wasn't really loving to me, and I still have the pain of that.
Oh.
And he broke down and began to cry, Michelle.
Oh.
And his wife began to see his pain and began to understand what was really going on. And they're not getting a divorce now. They haven't got to go see my wife.
Right, yeah.
They haven't gotta go see my
Yes,
wife.
yes. You know what you're sharing, and I don't want to get off subject because it really is about the extraordinary nature of the two of you, and I believe God has blessed you so richly to be a community asset because I find divorce detestable.
Yes, it is.
It is. It's a legal mechanism, and it works very efficiently for what it is supposed to do. But what I find is that the trauma continues
It does.
just because you are severed legally. You're not severed mentally and emotionally. So the person drags that dead dog smelling at this point. I mean, exuding air.
Putrid.
Putrid, killing everybody under this veneer of civility, and underneath is a person that's broken. And so how do you connect the dots and bring that person back to wholeness? That's what you do.
Yes. I think one of the main things I do is to try to help people see that a lot of times when they get married,
Yes.
they don't know who they're marrying.
Oh my
They
goodness.
don't know who they're marrying.
Yeah.
Many, many years ago, a couple came to me, a young couple, they were in their early 20s.
Yes.
She brought her fiance in and said, I'm thinking about marrying this guy, but I want him to know who I am, and I want I want to know who he is, so that if we do decide to get married, we'll do it being informed as to who each other is. We need to know about each other's family background. We need to know about each other's aspirations, each other's strengths, each other's weaknesses, so that when we do get married, we can make an informed decision to get married. Well, if we decide to get married, we'll have made an informed decision to get married, so they won't wind up in my wife's office.
Right. Exactly.
And that's a lot of what I do. I help people to understand who they are. The Bible says wisdom is the principal thing, therefore get wisdom, and with all thy getting, get a understanding. So that's a large part of what I do. And so when people come and they're broken, and they have guilt about their brokenness, I try to help them to see that it's not their fault. They are just, a lot of times, victims of their own lack of understanding of themselves and of other people. They're the person they married, the person they're going to marry, the person they were married to. So I spend a lot of time doing that.
What are your thoughts on that?
I would agree. When I see, for one thing, when people come into my office and they say, I want a divorce.
I bet that's with attitude.
Yeah, oh yeah, serious attitude. I want to show him. I want to show her. And sometimes when people sit down and they give me the facts of their marital situation, especially when there are small children involved.
Oh my gosh.
And it's the mother who comes in. Sometimes I actually am compelled to say, you know, you didn't come to me for this purpose, but one of the things I want you to explore is whether or not you have fully explored the extent of this relationship, particularly for the benefit of the young children. And the other reality is, you know, Michelle, demographically, women are worse off after the divorce.
Always.
In so many circumstances,
Yes.
particularly if there's a disparity in the income
Right.
between the husband and the wife. And let's be real, reality is the mother has the primary responsibility
Right.
of nurturance in many of these family
Right.
situations. She's the one who's going to be burdened down with the children. Dad is, of course, going to see the children, but he's going to be free to pursue his career,
And other
his
women.
love life, and
yeah.
all the other
Yeah.
things that go along with that, buying new cars and this, that, and the other with the mom. The child support, let me say something very, very clearly to a lot of people. The amount of money you get from him in child support is not nearly what you're going to get from him if he's in the household. Think about it for the benefit of the children. But I also see that people who have a culture of mutual appreciation and respect for one another. In other words, people come in and say, oh, he's out doing his thing, he's with his friends, or she's out with her friends in the clubs and this, that, and the other. And if you understand that that's not a situation where everybody needs me time, I understand that, but if it's a chronic pattern where we're never together,
Yeah.
the only thing we do together in the household is rear the children, you know, take care of the grunt work of being in the household together, go to work. By the time that's all done, there's only 24 hours in the day.
You're
right?
done.
You're done. And you don't really take the time to have this culture of, is the two of us came together in a marriage, and that's what's the most important thing in this situation. So when communication breaks down, I see it over and over again. I don't know. I ask people, where does your husband work? They barely know where they work. How much does he make? I don't know. Did you see a tax return? Well, I just signed it up, but I didn't read it. It's like, oh my goodness, it's amazing. And I tell the lady or the man, go home and be a good detective. Go around the house and see what you can find.
Be a good detective in your own home.
In your own home.
That is so
Yes,
sad.
yes. So many people really just don't know. Yeah, they just don't know. So that's what I see in terms of families who fall apart because they really didn't have very much togetherness in the first place. And as the marriage starts off with people coming into the marriage with children, either from that relationship or prior relationships, that kind of burdens the couple down in terms of getting to know each other and building their relationship together. And then another major factor is money.
Of course.
Money.
Of course.
Yes.
Not enough money.
Not enough money, or you came into the marriage with a student loan, or you have this huge debt from some failed situation, some failed investment that you may have had, or you took on the debt for your sister or your mother, or you have child support payments that you have to pay. There's so many blended families nowadays, so that people take on these child support burdens and huge credit card debts. It amazes me.
John and his clients.
It amazes me that some people come in with this huge credit card debt of amount of $70,000 to $80,000.
Yeah.
This is not mortgage or car notes. These
That's
are just
just
all
credit
card.
cards.
And I'm just amazed at how did you even get that much debt in the first place?
Yeah.
But
Right.
they got it anyway. And then the other reality is when they got the debt may have been $20,000, but because if you only pay the minimum payments,
Oh, you already know.
yeah, then it mushrooms up to $30,000, and the
higher.
original principal was
Right.
$20,000. Yes,
Right.
yes,
It
and higher.
becomes an
Yes.
endless
Yes.
rat
Right.
cage.
And part of that is, honey.
Oh, I
there-
like that. Say that again. And part of that is honey. Okay.
Is
Love
that-
language.
It
It is a love
It is.
language.
It is. And part of that is that they didn't know the person when they were dating. Because if they've racked up all of that debt, then there's a possibility that they have a compulsion, an obsessive compulsive disorder related to spending that was never discussed prior to the marriage.
That's true.
Well, you know what? That's a toughie. And I only say that because what I find today is the whole notion of transparency has gone the way of reality TV, which is people parrot what they see on television and feel that they have to create this alter person who has it all going on. And of course, from where I sit as an advisor, it is very painful. How can you talk about getting married when you can't stop using a credit card?
Exactly.
Or bigger toys with men, cars and clothes and toys. And because a marriage requires a tremendous amount, in my opinion, of sacrifice.
You have to be compatible with one another financially as well as emotionally. For example,
Okay, so you have to be compatible financially and emotionally. Okay.
So what that means is that if one person says, I want to save 25% of our money that comes into the household, well, the other person, as soon as they get a paycheck, they're running to the stores, they're running to the casinos, they're playing the lotto, they're doing all of these things that rack up debts. One guy came in and said, my wife just bought a pair of sunglasses that cost $2,000.
$2,000 for
$2,000.
sunglasses. Oh,
Designer.
She
Designer,
get a second
darling.
job. Yeah,
Right.
she gonna get a second job.
They
yeah.
were designer and they were sharp. But he said, we have bills to pay.
Right.
He was upset with that, which of course most people would be upset. Now, if in fact someone says, you know, honey, you like sunglasses, you enjoy sunglasses, so we're going to save some money so you can buy your designer sunglasses. If that's part of an agreement between the couple, then that's fine. Everybody has their little treats, their little hobbies. We understand that, but you have to be, as you point out, Michelle, transparent, and you have to, beyond transparency, there has to be honesty and compatibility. So if one is a saver and one is a spender, we have to find that happy ground. We have to agree, we're going to say this amount of money, we're going to have this budget for your spending or for your vacations or for your hobbies or for whatever that might be, whatever that might mean to the couple, because everybody has to be happy too, right?
Right.
So you can make that agreement, but if people don't go into it with that level of clarity and understanding, then they are doomed to have like this crash. You know,
I
like
can't see any other way.
Right.
Now, what I have counseled over the 45 years, I'm getting old, practice is that the concept of pooled money and then your money, my money. Now, I've had a lot of people say, I'm not for that. And I'm like, well, when you get married, it's pooled anyway.
It is.
It's because if you get a divorce, you're going
Right.
to find out what pooled
You're right.
looks like.
In the state of Ohio, that's
In the
right.
state of Ohio, you're going to find out for yourself.
Right.
So if they have a pooled account where all of their critical essential bills are paid from joint monies, and then they have separate accounts
Right.
for his money and her, and you put money, you
Right.
fund it fairly. If she makes more money than him, that doesn't mean her little cookie is bigger than
Bigger,
his.
right.
They split,
Right.
and once she's exhausted hers, she can always borrow. As I
Right.
tell folks, you know, you can borrow.
Right.
He didn't say give, but you can borrow from him and see where that goes. But I think that when you go into situations where there's no, I'm talking about financial compatibility. I don't believe, Leslie, that people that are savers need to suffer with people that are spenders.
Yeah, right.
Because
That's
I'm a
hard.
saver.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you,
too.
you asking for a nervous breakdown.
Yeah, right.
A $2,000 Gucci
Sunglasses.
sunglasses.
You're gonna look sharp,
Oh,
but
but when the snatch man comes to take your car because you didn't make car payments
Right.
because that to me is so just so trite,
Yeah.
trifling.
Yes.
It really is. So as a couple, how do you all work through this?
Well, let's go back to before we were married.
Okay, well, we
Let's
can
go
do
back to
that.
before we were
that's
married.
a good part.
Leslie had her own home.
Okay.
I had my own home.
Okay, I
Okay.
like that.
Yeah, we dated for a year. We
Okay.
dated for a year and we were engaged for 9 months.
And we got to know each other's families.
Oh, say it.
I got to meet his mother and his cousins and aunts in South Carolina. His mother lived in Michigan at the time.
Uh-huh.
And my
We
father
went
was
to-
deceased.
Father
Right,
was
okay.
deceased. Yeah, so the mother and stepfather in Michigan, aunts in South Carolina,
Okay.
and grandparents in South Carolina. They were all
Okay.
alive at that point. Cousins. I got to meet everybody.
Oh my gosh. And the Southern way
Yes.
is the way.
Oh my goodness. They
Isn't it? I'm
shower
telling you,
with
Southern
love.
people are amazing.
Yes, so gracious.
Yes,
so
gracious
generous.
people.
It was beautiful, beautiful. And he got to meet my family
Okay.
in Philadelphia. My parents, my father, my mother. Of course, my sister was in Cincinnati at the time.
Okay.
She was doing her residency at Children's Hospital.
Okay.
And so we all got to know each other and meet. And that's important because you see where people are coming from, what their culture is. Because if people come from a culture of brokenness and anger and, just a lot of animosity, then
drama.
and drama.
And drama.
Yeah, Jerry
As a
Springer.
normal.
Right,
As a norm.
right.
As a
Viewers,
norm.
excuse me, give me the camera here. I got to say this. Not everybody acts like that. Not everybody acts like that. People live normal lives, They don't do guns and knives and, skillets and pots and cussing and carrying on, using the Lord's name any old kind of way. A lot of people live very normal. You need to know that before you say I do to that person.
And Leslie's father tested me.
Okay.
I said, yeah, I go to church, I'm a spiritual man. I go to church and all that. And I was in Philadelphia. We were in the kitchen. And he said, Jabez. He said, Jabez. And I said, son of sorrows. He said,
Son.
ah, ha, ha.
Gotcha. Yes. Knew you.
Yes, yes.
Knew you.
So when I said Jabez there's like 2 lines in the Bible that talks about Jabez. And his father, my wife's father, wanted to know if I was a biblical scholar, if I knew anything about the word. Because he wanted to know what kind of spiritual culture I came from. That's part of understanding the person that his daughter, his precious, was going to marry.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. So he gave me this obscure passage
Jabez.
to see if I knew who
Son
that
of
person was. And I nailed it. And he laughed and said, ah, ha, ha, good.
Yes, good. So was the issue of denominations an issue? Both of you came from same denomination, or just
No.
both families were grounded Christians?
Oh, we were grounded Christian. Both families are grounded Christian.
Excellent.
Right.
Okay.
Both grounded. I was Baptist.
Yeah.
And my husband has a history of. Your mother went to a Baptist church
Yeah,
in
my
Michigan.
my father went to a Pentecostal church.
Okay.
His family was Pentecostal.
Okay.
My mother's family was Baptist. My wife's family was Baptist.
Okay.
And so when we were married in a Baptist church,
Okay.
but we have since attended a Pentecostal church
Right.
all of our married life.
Wonderful. So there was even decision-making process on church.
Yes,
Yeah.
it
The
was.
first
Yeah.
being that you're both Christians.
Christians,
Right.
right.
Because one of the things that so many people share with me, and I'm not real flexible about this, I tell people, if you are a Christian girl, as people say, church girl, okay, I'm a good church girl. If you're a good church girl and you marry yourself a roughneck, because there's an appeal, I mean, we know about roughnecks. You all know about roughnecks too, don't. Okay. And she falls in love and marries a roughneck. And the possibilities of success are very limited. Comes to mind Whitney Houston,
Yeah,
whose
Bobby
family was, all church people. And she married Bobby Brown, who is a roughneck. And the chaos, I mean, it was just like,
Yeah.
do we have to look at this as outsiders? Do we have to watch this and the family drama and suffering? I know her family suffered watching this, you know, go through. What's your take on that?
Well, I think that on Bobby Brown and Whitney
Yeah.
Houston, I think for real, I think Whitney was just as much of a roughneck
A
as
roughneck
Bobby.
as Bobby? Ooh,
Yeah.
wee, ooh,
Yeah, some
wee.
people said that Whitney turned Bobby out. Some people said that Whitney turned Bobby out. But I think that at the end of the at the end of the day, they both were probably pretty worldly, probably pretty wild at the core.
Okay,
And I think that that's what fundamentally connected the two of them.
okay. But
And-
is that a formula for a sustaining, stable marriage?
That's a formula for disaster because on some level they both decided that they wanted to have a disastrous relationship. And they acted that disastrous relationship out with drugs, with fame, with not being rooted and grounded. You know, and I think that's fundamentally what happened to them as a couple.
But I would say that there's a major cultural difference between the couple. As you point out, Michelle, one could be in religion, doesn't matter which denomination.
right.
One's not in religion,
Right.
one's a believer, one's a non-believer. That is a recipe for disaster. You have to be walking together commonly. You have to have a consistent frame of reference. For example, if one comes from the city and one comes from the country, that's a different cultural
It is.
context. One is more educated, one is far less educated. That can also be a significant cultural context. I was in with a couple just recently. They never married, but they've had a long-term relationship, have had multiple children together.
Okay,
over the
multiple
course-
children together
over
and
the
never
course of
married.
never
Okay.
married.
Okay,
and there was
that's a
gaps in
problem.
between the children.
Okay.
One person wanted to be married, the other person didn't want to be married, but more importantly, one person came from a culture where everyone in her household had gotten a college degree or higher, and there was a culture of achievement. The other person came from a family that was chaotic and had not had that educational cultural background. So now that the children are getting older, there
Oh,
was a lot of
gosh.
derisive or ridicule on the part of one to the other. Well, the kids need help with the schoolwork and you can't help them. In other words, you're too dumb.
Oh, no.
Yes. And so
When
people,
men have to have
Yes.
encouragement and,
Right. Right. That's
Oh, oh.
destructive. That was painful
did you send
to
them
see.
to your husband?
I wish I could. There was already a psychologist in the room, and she was there to assess the children and the
Yes,
parents.
yes.
It was painful to see that level of destructive, disparaging attitude. And this is the parent of your children. You chose this person multiple times.
Yes,
Not
to have
once.
your
Yeah,
children.
you
I
chose
mean,
them. Yes.
right.
So that's hurtful. And then those kind of words tear at people's souls. And that's why these relationships just kind of crash and fall apart.
Do you think there's redemption when a woman, because sometimes, you know, people say words don't hurt you. I'm like, are you kidding me?
Words can
Words will destroy.
They're more hurtful than a hit.
I think they are. I think the
Yes.
things that you say to another individual, and especially men, and I know we're into this, we're all equal. I said equal does not mean the same.
Yeah, you're right. Everybody's
Men are not constructed to handle that kind of behavior
Right.
by their mate.
Right.
Is that correct?
Yeah, exactly. There's this brilliant world-class psychologist by the name of John Gottman. And Gottman.
Okay.
And Gottman and his wife, I can't remember his wife's name right off, but Gottman and his wife they say that one of the variables in predicting the success of a marriage is the eye rolling of the wife.
The eye rolling of the wife. Woo!
If he,
Too early in the morning.
her eye
Eyes
rolling.
rolling.
If he's talking to her and she rolls her eyes as some sister girls and other girls do, then that shows contempt. And it's a nonverbal dissing or disparaging comment related to him.
Oh my gosh. And
And-
how does he process that?
Oh, it puts him down. It distances him from her. The more she does it, the more he is distanced from her. Because she's saying, what you think don't count. You don't mean, you're nothing. Really, that's what she's saying with her eye rolling. She disparages him. She puts him down. So he's either going to go upside her head one way or another,
Okay.
or he's going to withdraw. And frequently, men withdraw in situations like that.
So what does that look like when you say withdraw?
Where he might go sit at the TV
Okay, and just look
and
at
just
sports.
just veg out with
Okay,
the TV.
okay.
Or he might go hang out with the fellas. Or he might find him a Fifi.
Got it.
He might have
Fifi is real.
He might find him a Fifi who then won't roll her eyes at him.
Ah.
You know, he'll get that affirmation that he seeks because the wife has rolled her eyes and has not listened to him.
Camera, please. Don't be rolling your eyes at your man.
And on
Okay, thank you.
on the other side, a lot of times the wife might say, "Oh, honey, you know, I've got something important to share with you. I've got something I'm very excited about." And he'll reading the paper or watching the game, and he'll say,
I'm listening. Go ahead.
Okay.
Yeah, never connecting with
Okay.
her. Yes,
That's
this is-
prayer time at the church.
Yes, right.
Which then causes her to feel dismissed. It causes her to feel dismissed, and when she's dismissed, she might go find her a Ray Ray.
Okay.
She might find her a Ray Ray. Ray Ray's not going to dismiss her. And then what that does, it makes the relationship,
Even more strained.
yes.
Yes. So how do you keep, as I said, it seems to me, based upon both of you and your work and practice and boots on the ground with people, that many of these principles that are actually framed under wisdom, marital wisdom. You should write a book. Let's write a joint book. Write a
Marital
book,
wisdom.
become words of wisdom from married couples. How do you, I mean, you don't come into the marriage knowing those things.
No.
How do you get through it so that the marriage flourishes?
You know, I'd have to say that one of the things that people remarked about us, I'm just going to tell you, looking from the outside
Okay.
in, people have said about us, we seem to be best friends with one another, and we seem
Yes.
to have a lot of cooperation and connection with one another. Even before we were married, I heard my mother say to my father how much of a connection or cooperative spirit that we have between each other. And that's been building over time. And yes, you're right. You have to work at the relationships. And you know what, Michelle? Life is not all apple pies and vanilla ice cream, whatever your favorite treat is. Life has its bad moments. I mean, for example, my mother died last year. And that was the most
That's-
devastating experience of my life. And I would not have made it had it not been for my husband. One of the things that, you know, when we were preparing for this, we saw that couples who connect with one another, just something as simple as holding hands
Yes.
makes a difference. And they've done some scientific studies to show that when people are holding hands, they actually perceive actual like shocks and actual pain. They perceive it being less intense than people who don't have that connection. And so
The holding of the hands is like an analgesic.
Yeah.
If I hold her hands,
Right.
it's all right,
right,
baby.
you're
it's
in this.
okay.
I have
It's
somebody
good.
just that's there with me, and that helps. That helps a lot.
And that would have to help
Yes. Oh my
to know
gosh.
that you've got that connection.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
And that emotional connectivity. What happens with people that don't want to hold hands? She may want to, but he doesn't. How do you work through that?
You have to ask why.
Ah, back to the why question.
Back to the why question.
Where
you
did
know.
this come from?
And a lot of times it's resentment. Resentment for something.
Resentment?
Resentment. It could be that she may not want to hold hands because he hasn't done something, he hasn't listened to her day.
Okay.
He hasn't listened to her day. So she resents it. He wants to hold her hand and, nah, you ain't listened to my day.
Okay.
Or vice versa. She hasn't listened to his day.
His day.
I want to tell a little story. When Leslie and I were, I guess about year 4
Okay, of your marriage.
of our marriage.
Okay.
And I got home about 10 o'clock at night from the office.
Yeah.
And she met me at the back door. It was snowing outside.
Okay.
And so I was getting ready to come in the door. She met me there. She said, honey, I need to tell you about this. It was something from her day. I literally stood in the door for about 5 minutes with my eyes riveted on her while she shared about her day.
That is out in the snow.
In the snow with the door open, I'm just like this, listening, focused, listening. You know, snow coming down.
Right.
And then after she got it out, she said, oh, honey, I should have let you come and get settled before I shared
Before
my
I did
day.
it. She was excited.
Yeah.
Right,
Yes.
right. And that level of focus, you know, and that level of intentionality.
I like that term.
Yes, intentionality.
Intentionality.
About listening to her at that very, very moment is something that it engenders holding hands and connection versus the person, I ain't want to hear that.
Right, right,
You know,
right.
And they come in and the person feels, you know, like they've been disrespected, they've been rebuffed, they've been put down, hurt, and that just creates distance. But to focus on that person, to focus on your wife, you know, or if you've got a girlfriend or fiance, to focus on that person allows you then to have an intentional connection. What do you think, honey?
I think also a culture of mutual appreciation and supporting each other.
Mutual appreciation is
Yeah,
what. Talk
right.
about that.
Okay. For example, as I said, my husband said to me when I wanted to go to law school, well, if that's what you want to do, I will support you in your endeavor.
That is so amazing.
Yes.
The income, I mean, did you quit your job?
I quit my job.
quit your
and
job.
I resigned P&G, Procter & Gamble, and my husband
And
said,
dependent upon him.
dependent upon him for 3 years and through the bar exam. And then that's when I started back in my practice.
And building your
building
practice.
my practice, yes. And then even then, my husband was facilitative. He helped me build the practice financially. You know, some weeks are a little thin when you first start.
Right, exactly.
And so he
'Cause
helped me
you're a
get
businesswoman,
yes,
you're building, yeah.
Yes, yes. So that was
And
all
he was
positive.
there.
He was there, right?
How did that make you feel?
It made me feel more connected with God.
How so?
It made me feel more connected with God. Now, my wife was a section manager at P&G. She had been a section manager for, what, 13 years?
I've been there 13 years, about maybe 8 years. I
About
think,
8 years,
yeah.
she was a section manager at
Okay.
P&G.
That's
And
no joke.
That's no joke. And she was making some pretty good bank, you know, keeping it real.
Well, we keeping it, yeah, because they make
And-
6 figures.
Yeah,
That's a
she
pretty
was,
matter
she
of
was doing
fact.
pretty
Yeah.
good. And so she said, honey, I always had a dream. Always wanted to go to law school. So, you know, that was way off my radar. I wasn't even thinking about it. We're just humming along. I had my practice. She had her P&G. We were doing our thing. And so I said, let's pray about it. So we prayed about it. The Lord said yes.
Whoa.
The Lord said yes. I said, baby, quit your job. I will put you through law school.
Oh, you're
I
making
will
me
put
just
you-
go, ooh.
And it was God showing me each step of the way how to do that financially. He made the provision through my practice to
He had to expand your practice
he expanded my practice.
so that she could go to school.
Yes, yes.
That's
yes.
God.
Yeah, it was. It
That
was.
is God.
Yeah,
Yes.
God is
That's
good.
why I said it was a vertical relationship and a
Yeah.
horizontal relationship at the same time. It was God, okay, Lord, you want me to do this? I will do it. Show me how.
Show me how.
And he did each step of the way. The Bible says, ye husbands, dwell with them, the wife, according to knowledge, that your prayers be not hindered. And my prayer was that she would go to law school See, this is
See, I'm just looking at you all holding your
that
hand.
she would
We
go
do
to
it
law
all
school.
the time.
And can I tell you another part of it?
Yes.
She went to law school. She didn't miss an outfit.
Right.
She didn't miss a hair appointment.
Car no payment.
Girl,
Yeah,
come
yeah,
on.
yeah.
I'm not even mad about
Right,
it.
And
right.
when she graduated, we had a. Can I talk?
Go ahead.
Yeah, go
I'll give
on.
you
When she graduated from law school, not a penny was owed. The whole
paid
thing
thing.
was
Out of
paid,
pocket,
out
yeah.
of pocket.
That's God.
That's
3 years
God.
of law
Michelle,
school.
that was a
The
blessing.
bar, and that's why I said it was my relationship with our God
Yeah.
vertically,
Yes.
and our horizontal relationship
With each other.
With each other.
Yes.
And she graduated from law school, and we had a party for her. And when she went to her law school graduation, she went in a white stretch limousine.
Oh, your husband sent you in a stretch limousine,
Yes,
white.
he did.
And when
Ah.
she came home,
Oh my goodness.
she had a white Mercedes with a bow on
Yeah,
it.
he
red
bought
bow.
me a
bought you a white Mercedes?
Yes, that was such a surprise.
Keep
yeah,
this
yeah, I'm
man.
telling you.
You better be
Yeah,
gripping his hands.
right. Ladies, stay
Hey,
away.
ladies, stay away. It's gonna be a cat fight over here.
And there was a
Oh my God.
and there was a party. And where did we get that party?
Embassy Suites.
At the Embassy
My
Suites
goodness.
with a sit down dinner and a band.
Yes, it was
Oh,
wonderful.
my God.
It was wonderful. It was wonderful.
But you know what? This is why I told you why I admire the two of you so much. And there are other couples. I grew up with a mother and a father that carried on like this. My parents were soulmates and deeply embedded with each other until death. She cared for him, and I always remember they dressed same outfits back in the day, and just loving soulmates. We grew up seeing my father kiss my mother all the time.
Love.
Not a joke. I tell
Right.
people, no, I lived this out.
Right.
So my expectation, not
right.
knowing what other people lived through, I thought everybody had that going on.
Yeah, right.
And,
but people don't.
No,
unfortunately.
This
no.
is a secret. This is a secret for all the women out there.
I'm
A
listening.
secret.
A secret.
A secret. A strategy. The biggest strategy. Leslie bosses me.
Okay.
She,
I'm looking at you.
She bosses me. She really has control over me by saying, honey, what do you think? Honey, what do you want? honey. She does. Because the Bible says, it talks about the woman who deals with her husband with a meek and quiet spirit.
Yes.
You know, which is in the sight of God of great price. Now, when she says, honey, you know, what do you want? Honey, what do you think? You know, it makes me even more open to give her what she wants and to love her more deeply.
Oh my goodness.
It really does.
Well, you get more bees with honey
I totally agree.
than you
Sunshine's
do.
better than rain.
Yes, yes.
Sunshine
So,
is always better than rain.
who wants to come home with somebody carping and screaming and crying and how with hands on their hip all the time?
Rolling
that
their
stuff that
eyes.
they see
Rolling their
on
eyes.
TV. Yeah, that stuff on TV is destructive.
Oh, I can't. I'm not
Yeah,
going to lie.
reality
I
TV.
can't. I have not. Well, thanks to an iPhone, I get all my news on my iPhone.
Right.
But I have not sat and watched television in years.
Really?
And I'm going to tell you why. If I could see something positive to reinforce family, I don't want to see dysfunctional families on TV. All I got to do is sit at the bus stop.
Right.
I'm going to see enough.
Yeah.
And to know the sorrow that is underneath the
Right.
dysfunctionality.
Right.
Right, exactly.
Right,
You
right.
know,
Exactly.
it's got to
Sorrow
be.
and pain.
I cannot.
Yeah.
My daughter in New York, I went up to visit her, and she said, "I know you don't watch TV, but I want you to watch this." So I laid on the sofa and I watched the reality show about the Atlanta housewives.
that's
I had never seen it in my life. First thing,
Yeah.
I didn't know if it was legal. I told her, "Aren't you supposed to do? Are the police coming?" It's so funny. She said, "Mom, come on. You know, this is where people are." And I said, "Who does does that?
You know, those shows are designed, they're socially designed to cause us to act dysfunctionally.
Wow.
It's a social, it's intentionally done for us to model negative behavior.
And they make it glamorous with all these glamorous people
And the crazy part, yeah.
fashions
They're
and
not
styles.
good,
Yeah,
they're
right.
crazy.
Yeah, they are. They really.
Cray.
That's Jerry Springer come to life.
Yeah, I'm like, that's another story. But so you feel that the role of these, quote, reality TVs is to transmit a culture,
A culture.
of dysfunctionality.
Yes, and the craziest part about it is that you already had, you know, the people in the hood acting that out. You already had people in the hood acting that out. Now they're taking middle class people in mansions and they're acting out the
I'm
same
like,
reality.
you gotta be kidding me.
That's intentional because somebody somewhere, the puppeteer,
Yeah,
the people who are the puppeteers, they do not want middle class African Americans to be viewed as serious,
insane.
insane.
Meaning you gotta have funny looking stuff going.
Yeah, dysfunctional stuff, crazy stuff.
Our time for this first segment, viewers, is over. So we're gonna move on. We're gonna take a break. We'll be back for part 2 of The Power Couple. Hope you're enjoying this show. I am. See you shortly. Take care.